Good morning. I hope everyone had a great weekend, and welcome to this morning's Facebook Live, which is Do the Right Work. This is such an important phrase for me of how I've set up my business and how I try and do the work in my business is I'm trying to do the right work at the right time. And so how do we do that? So welcome. My name is Sarah, and I'm a startup coach, and I love helping aspiring entrepreneurs build the business that they love, not just to build a business that makes money, but a business that they love, and get started with the right foundation and the right systems in your business. And you can avoid the mistakes that I made early on in my business by learning from me, and you can have more success faster by avoiding those mistakes. If you're live now or sometime in the future, welcome, and I'm so glad you're here. And I also want to encourage you that you can catch my previous Facebook Lives either in my Facebook group, which if you aren't in it, you can join it and check out my previous Facebook Lives in the guide section. So welcome. Before I start today, I just want to recommend that after this training, if you haven't watched it already, that you go back and watch the Facebook Live from April 5th. You can find it in the guide section, and what I cover in today's training goes right along with last week's training, and so that would be beneficial to you if you haven't watched it already. So this morning, what I'd like to do is I'd like to offer you two scenarios, and I want you to listen and see which one you relate to more. The first one I have named Unclear Claire. This gal has a great idea for business, and she even has some capital to invest in her business. But she is a real go-getter, and she just sets out enthusiastically, and she buys the first course that she comes across. It was a great course. It landed in her email, and she was super excited, and so she just signed up for it. But once she got into that course, she realized it was really over her head. Claire gets overwhelmed, and everything the course is telling her to do just kind of sets her off because she doesn't understand the fundamentals. So when she sits down at her computer, she's just kind of spinning her wheels with what she should do next because she doesn't really know, because she doesn't really understand. So she jumps from one task to the next, not really completing anything. There's just simply too much to digest all at once, and not enough time in her day to take it all in. Her to-do list is never ending. Even with the course she's bought, she's not sure what to do on social media, how to create the content she needs, how to build a funnel. And so 3 months into building her business, she's no further ahead than she is right now. And instead of being really excited, she's actually just overwhelmed and discouraged. So maybe that's you, or maybe that's been you in the past. That certainly was me. I jumped in with both feet when I started my business and purchased a course, but it wasn't necessarily the right thing that I needed at the right time. And so I was doing work, but I wasn't necessarily doing the right work. So then let's look at the second scenario, and her name is Fran, Foundation Fran. Fran also has a great idea for a business, and she also has some capital to spend in order to get her business started. But before she dives right in, she takes a step back and she does a personal inventory where she goes through questions like, what do I actually love to do? What am I uniquely skilled at doing? What do I already know about building a business? What don't I know about building a business? And she realizes by doing that personal inventory and taking a little bit of a pause and a step back that she doesn't know the fundamentals, the basics about building a business. So she realizes she doesn't exactly know what she wants to offer or how to put those pieces together. So instead of jumping into the first course that she comes across, and we know there are literally thousands of courses and freebies and lead magnets and all of that out there designed to help you, but she chooses to take a step back and find a coach that's actually an expert in the area that she needs help with, that clarity piece, and learning how to put it together and go step by step with her. Each day she sits down at her designated work time and she actually has a plan. She is no longer distracted by what to do or where to put her content. The work is hard, which we know building a business is hard, but it's not overwhelming to her. It feels very slow at first, which oftentimes it is just a very slow process. But then she starts to see real progress over time. And eventually she surpasses unclear Claire and just keeps plodding along. Instead of getting to that extremely discouraged moment, she just keeps seeing tiny successes, but still successes. So she keeps going along. So my question is, which one are you right now? Maybe you've been unclear Claire in the past, but you're moving towards foundation Fran, and that's great. And do you see some similarities in those scenarios with the tortoise and the hare? You can really go fast at the beginning and jump in and dive in with both feet, but in the end, you can end up burned out and losing the race. Or you can be slow and steady like the tortoise and go at the right pace and actually be able to stay in the race and win it. So I've talked before about James Clear's book called Atomic Habits. I read it early on this year, and it was so good, and I highly recommend it. It's a great book about not only how to establish new habits, but why you want to establish new habits, which I think is really important when you're starting a business, is having really good habits and systems early on so that you can build and maintain and sustain your business over the long haul, instead of being like that hare that just jumps out of the gun and burns all this energy at the beginning and then burns out in the end. The one big thing that I took away from this book was the definitions that he gave for two words: motion versus action. And the difference between the two is really a big problem for people starting out their business. We're really good, and I think women especially, we're really good at motion. We can look really busy, but not actually get any work done. And we're good at doing the same thing over and over and over again, but getting minimal results. And literally, that's the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over and hoping for a different result. And that really is motion. So let me give you a quick example. When I started out in my business, everyone told me that I needed to post on Instagram and Facebook. That's where I would find my clients. That's where I would find my people. And if I was just consistent and kept putting content out, then I would gather people to me. So I spent months and hours creating content on Instagram and Facebook. The growth was slow at first, which I expected, because that is going to happen at the beginning. It's going to be slow. But after a few months, I realized that my ROI, my return on investment, was so low from these two places that I really needed to look for someone else. I had started in action, doing something that had good results at the beginning. But over time, the hours that I was spending on posting to Instagram and Facebook were not leading to actual results. So the time I was spending each week to create that content now was just motion. I was doing the same thing over and over and not getting good results. And so I had to step back and say, what do I need to do differently? And I've actually routed most of my time and energy over to Pinterest and found much better results there. At some point, all the work I was doing to cultivate my online presence on Instagram and Facebook turned into motion. It wasn't working, and I needed to take a step back and change that into actual action. And it was a tough habit to break, because everyone had told me for a long time that I had to be on Facebook and on Instagram. And so I've had to let go of that, but it was that was kind of holding me back. And that's what motion does. When we keep doing the same thing over and over again, it holds us back. Action is what actually moves the needle forward. Many of us get stuck in motion. We are unclear Claire, and we're creating a lot of motion, but not actually getting ahead. And here's the thing about action. Action, you know that it's action because it's purposeful. It gives us a cue to what the next thing is that we're supposed to do. When we're doing action, it actually lines us up for the next step. And it also is going to show us results, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. So let's go back to this idea of action creating a cue for the next thing that we're going to do. When I was a teacher, I taught 6th grade and 3rd grade, and I was all about systems and rhythms in our classroom, and I was all about using the least amount of energy for myself in order to produce results with my students. So I trained them that when they heard a certain bell or I did a certain action, they were supposed to respond with another action. So for example, when we went to clean up at the end of the day, instead of me having to tell them all the things that they needed to do, I trained them that first you pack your backpack, then you stack your chair, then you pick up trash, because that order made the most sense. You put your stuff away, then once your chair is picked up, it's easy to pick up trash off the ground. One action cued them to go to the next action in a certain order. And that's what action versus motion does, is it cues us up to do the next best thing for our business. And that's what we want in our business, is that constant action, because when we stop and we feel discouraged and we don't know what to do next, that's where we can get into that motion of just staying stuck in trying to figure out what we're supposed to do. And we know that we're doing action and we're doing the right work because, one, it's producing results. Now, you have to have a good definition of what the results are that you're looking for. That has to be clearly defined. But basically in business, your results are going to be based on two things: the impact that you're making, the help that you're giving to people, and the income that you're producing. And you have to have both. And if you don't have both, then you are possibly still in that system of motion. If you are not continually attracting people to have impact on, and you are not bringing in a stream of income, then your business is not creating action, and it's time to maybe reevaluate the plan that you're doing. The second thing that we know about action is it's creating that impact in the income, and it's triggering you to the next thing that you should do. It helps you eliminate guesswork. When you're in motion, you're always constantly questioning, what do I do next? How do I handle this situation? I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. But when you are in action, you actually know that you're doing the right work. So here's my principle for today. Doing the right work at the right time eliminates confusion. And doing the right work always starts with where I am right now. And we talked a lot about that last week, of where am I right now is what helps us be able to know what the next step is. So let's go back to my Facebook and Instagram story. I had to evaluate where I was right now. I was not growing on Facebook and Instagram, even though I was spending hours every week creating content for those platforms. And I actually didn't really like doing that work. It was hard, and it didn't come naturally to me. So I had to evaluate where I am right now today. It was working in the past, but it's not working now, and make a new action plan. Where I am right now tells me what I'm going to do next. And so that comes from doing that personal and business inventory. And one of my goals this week is to actually get that ready to go, so that you can purchase that business and personal inventory and get started on that work yourself. So I'll post that as soon as I have that done. So here are some things you can do in the meantime so that you can evaluate, am I doing work, or am I doing motion, or am I actually in action? So if you want to write these down, you can. One is, have a working, realistic definition of the result that you're trying to get right now. So then you know you can measure against your actual results, am I meeting my definition of results? Review daily with a quick check-in. What am I working on? How am I spending my time? How am I blocking my time? I've gotten really, really specific about what work I do at what times during the day, because I know in the mornings I'm much more effective and efficient than I am at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Last week I scheduled a call with a company. It was like, if I did a quick interview, I got a free month of a product, and it was worth my time. But I scheduled it at 3 in the afternoon when I'm tired. I wasn't going to give up my good solid working time in the mornings in order to do a freebie thing in the afternoon. So I did it at 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon when I knew I could still give them time and energy, but it wasn't my best time and energy. So do a daily quick check-in. Where am I spending my time? How am I blocking my time? Am I setting myself up for success by having what I need in my workspace? And so doing that daily quick check-in can help with action versus motion. Then I review weekly to monitor my progress. I don't just keep plodding ahead every week without going back and saying, okay, what did I do last week? What were my numbers? How did it work? How did it not work? This is how I started to see over time that what I was doing on my Instagram and Facebook wasn't working. I didn't just keep plowing ahead week after week. I stop every Monday morning and look at my numbers, look at how many subscribers I'm getting on my email list, where I'm actually getting impact in my business, so that I can keep doing the work that's getting that impact and stop or changing the work that isn't. And then I actually review every 90 days, every quarter, at how I'm doing and where I want to set my focus for that next quarter. That's that 90-day sprint that I've talked about that also is in a Facebook Live in my guides. Another thing you can do is that whatever you're doing to kind of check in daily, weekly, and every 90 days needs to include a reflection piece of the past and an analysis of the results that you're getting, because those results are going to give you a decision and a clear path as to what you're going to do next. Not looking at your numbers, not looking at your results, not thinking about how much time you took to do something that yielded no customers. That's just going to get you into motion. You're going to keep doing it over and over because it's easy to do. Well, every week I do this, and so I'm going to just keep doing it. If you don't stop and pause and say, hey, I actually haven't gotten any customers from doing that, spending 3 hours a week in my business doing that every week over and over isn't really action. That's just motion. The next thing that you can be doing is not going to be a popular one, but I believe is foundational in your business, and that is having a regular rhythm of rest. It's not popular, but it is necessary. I personally believe that we should work from our rest, not rest from our work. There's a big distinction. And for me, it's a biblical principle. You see it in Genesis 1 when God created the earth, and it says, there was evening and then there was day. And for the Jewish culture, their day actually starts the night before. And so they are preparing for their day by resting. Their day doesn't start first thing in the morning when they have rested the night before. It starts the night before. So that's what I've started to do, is my day starts the night before. So Sunday evening, I'm looking at my week. I'm seeing where I have stuff scheduled. I'm talking with my kids about what they have on their calendars because they're super busy, middle schoolers. And I'm getting ready for my Monday on Sunday night. And then I'm resting. I'm getting to bed early on Sunday night because I know I've got this at 8 o'clock the next morning. I'm not breaking my day at night and resting from my work. So it's a big distinction for me, and it's really been a game changer for me. I also have natural rhythms of rest to help me throughout the week, because I think one of the things that small business owners do are they just blast through. They're working all the time. They're working late into the nights. They're working all day Saturdays because they want to build their business, which is good. And you need rest. Your brain needs a creative break. And I actually was talking to my husband last night because I've been kind of plowing ahead in my business because I've been seeing good results and I want to keep working hard, and I'm trying to prepare for this summer because I actually want to take a break this summer and have some things in my business be on autopilot. But I've also realized I haven't built in any creative breaks during the day. So yes, I'm plowing ahead in my business, but my brain isn't having time to like wander and explore and get excited about some of the things that I'm working on. So we need to have those regular rhythms of rest. And I actually have a book that I'm going to recommend that if you want some help with rest, because we're not always good at it, is this book called Sacred Rest. And I'll link this one below because this is really good. She teaches you that we have different types of rest. There's like 7 or 8 different types of rest that we need to be rejuvenated, because rest isn't just taking a nap. There are active things that we can be doing to rest too. So I thought that was a great book to help you get started. So we've talked about a number of things that you can do to help you know if you're doing action or if you're doing motion. And the last one that I'm going to recommend to you is to have a thought partner in this process. Someone who understands the benefits of making good, purposeful decisions and creating action in your business and not just motion. I've spent a lot of time over the past couple of months in these large Facebook groups that like with 60,000 people or 5,000 people in them, looking for help on certain things. But I realized, why am I going to these random people that I don't know? I don't know if their business is successful or not, or if what they're doing is actually quality or aligns with my values. Why am I looking there for help? So I've started to look for more people that I personally know that align with my business goals and my personal values to be a thought partner in this. Some of them live locally, so like I get together with one gal once a month so we can just bounce ideas off of each other. I have other people that don't live in the state, but we can communicate via text or Marco Polo or online through Facebook Messenger so that we can be processing what we're doing and talking about what we're doing. Because when you just do your business alone and you aren't getting some of these things outside of your own head, you can't see that you're stuck in motion versus action. You need someone. I believe we were built to live in community. We need other people to help us and say, hey, Sarah, you've been on Facebook a lot, but it doesn't look like you're actually getting any engagement there. What do you need to do to fix that? And it's not that they're solving my problems for me, but they're helping point those things out and helping me come up with solutions. So my question for you today, this Monday morning, this is a great time to do this reflection, is where are you with motion versus action? And you've got to be really honest with yourself. This isn't about shame or guilt or feeling badly or talking negatively about yourself. It's a reality check of where I am right now and being very clear with that. And if you have been stuck in motion, name it, and then let's figure out a plan to help you move towards action. What steps do you need to take to get clarity in your business so you know the direction that you're headed? And do you have a clear plan to help you go farther, faster, or are you just winging it? Because winging it is not going to get you where you want to go in a business. So go back to Unclear Claire and Foundation Fran. Where are you right now? And you've got to be clear on that, because one of them is creating a lot of motion and one of them is creating purposeful action. And then after you've looked at where I am right now, what are the rhythms that I have in my life? What are the systems that I've created? What is my next best step forward? So that's my advice to you about knowing how to do the right work at the right time. If you are still overwhelmed, this is the kind of coaching that I love to do with people. I am a teacher by trade, and I love helping people find solutions for the problems that they have, the challenges that you're facing. I do a free call with me to find out how I can help you and if we would be a good fit for working together. So I would love to have you do that. I'll put some links in the comments after this video is over so that you can find some of the resources that I've mentioned, the couple of books that I mentioned, and if you're interested in setting up a strategy call. For next week's Facebook Live, I want to give you a little tease about that. Is I want to talk about celebrating well. This isn't something that I do naturally very well, and so I want to teach about it and talk about it to hold myself accountable for it. But I believe that you need to be celebrating the successes that you're having, the action that you're taking in your business, and we need to do it all along the way, not just waiting until you start making money or until you land your first client. We need to be celebrating all along the way because it does help combat discouragement, which we often feel. So I hope to see you there next Monday. If this training was helpful for you, I hope that you would invite other people to join our group and share it with others. And I'll put those links below. So thank you so much for joining me today, and have a great week.